All right. I'd like to welcome to the show from the Snake Season 1, the Fox reality TV show. Mina, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Ricky. Thank you.
Absolutely. So, before we dive into your time on the Snake, tell us a little bit about yourself, maybe a little bit of about your background.
Well, I've been a bondsman and a bounty hunter 20 years. Got into this business when I was a stockbroker. So I actually was a licensed stockbroker and trading on the exchanges. And then my ex-husband, then husband, said this was something a field that he wanted to get into. And so I said, sure, why not? Dad was a criminal defense attorney. Let's do it. And I left my book of business and came over and opened a bail bond company. And we began the first 12 years bounty hunting every single night and working bail. So I've done it just 20 years of my life. Yep.
That's like a 24-hour day, 7 day a week job, basically, though, right?
It is. People forget I work Christmas Day. I work Easter. I work every single day. I work when I'm in the shower. I work when I'm asleep. I wake up and look at my phone and go, oh crap, what I do? Yes, I
Right.
work all the time.
Right. How dare you take a nap? You know what I mean?
Exactly. Or eat or go to the bathroom. But yes.
So, talk to me about how you got cast to be on the Snake.
Well, it was the casting agent reached out to me and said they were looking for a bounty hunter, and so I actually didn't I didn't reply right off the bat. I don't trust anybody, so it's what I do for a living, and so I just kind of pushed her off, and she kept reaching out, and I'm like, what do you want? These California rehabs, all my people are going there. What's going on? You're from California, and then she explained it, and I went, oh. Now that sounds like something I could definitely do. I see reality shows all the time, but this is a game about true master manipulation, and this is what I do on a daily basis. So absolutely, I'd be interested, and that's how I got in.
Yeah, talk to me about maybe what your strategy was before you kind of entered the game.
I'm not even sure I had a strategy, honestly, Ricky. I because I didn't know what to expect, right? And so, my typical strategy of any life experience on a daily basis for me is to win you over. So I have to win everybody over. In my job, I win you over. And then I pretty much twist and turn everything after you tell it to me. And if I need to hunt you or find you, I twist it and turn it on you. And I was using the same thing in this game, winning everyone over. I didn't get to go far enough or long enough in order to do that. One by one, though, even Brett didn't like me at first, but I did win him over. So one by one, I was going to win them over.
Yeah, for sure. So before we get into the actions that followed you coming out of the box, let's talk about what's going through your head, your immediate thoughts. The boxes go down, you look around, you see this cast. What are your thoughts?
Okay, right off the bat, I wonder what they all do. You know what I mean? Because we didn't know. We had no idea what the occupations were. We kind of had an idea. I looked to my left. I saw Frank. I thought he was like a magician. The way I was like, is he a magician? So the way he was dressed, and then I couldn't tell. Alyssa, I had no idea what she was. Obviously, people with badges and vests, obviously law enforcement. Cody, cowboy, that kind of, he had on his chaps. So I could kind of read people that way. Pastor Jacob, that was an obvious one. But some of them, yeah, I had no idea what to expect, especially with Jordan. Jordan was one, and Catherine. Those were two. I could not get a read on Catherine. I couldn't get a read on her. Even staying in the house with her, I couldn't get a read on her. She was the toughest one to read because I could tell right off the bat she was lying. Everything that came out of her mouth was a lie. I sat there and listened to every single thing. And as I listened to her talk, I'm like, wait a minute, everything she says contradicts herself. So I just was walking on eggshells very carefully. I didn't know what they did or who they were. I was just trying to figure that part out. Hop out of the box, looking around, going, and what I did know is I was older than most of these people. This was a very young cast. I could tell that right off the bat.
Yeah, I loved in the first episode, right? You took charge. You were like, you know what? They were looking for a leader. You decided, I'm going to be that leader. What made you want to do that? And were you kind of worried that that could potentially put a target on your back?
Yeah, right after I did it, I was ready to get that party started. We're in that box a long time and it was really hot. And I thought, you know what, we're going to get this party started. We're doing it now. And I'm going to start this party. So that's I jump out of the box, hot, dehydrated, and ready to rock and roll. And yeah, so that's pretty much what happened. I just jumped in. And right after I did it, I'm standing on that stepping stool, or whatever that was, that box with Jim. And as I'm starting to pick these potential teammates, I am thinking exactly that. I think I've just screwed myself. I think I've just put a big target on my back because I can only pick so many of them, and so many of them are going to be left out, and it's really going to piss all of them off. So, as you're picking, it seemed like a good idea at the time. And then when you're standing on the box, you go, well, shit, maybe this wasn't a great idea. But I did it. And so I have to keep moving forward with whatever choice I made.
So obviously you pick Amanda, Kaylee, Cody, Jacob, McLean, and Derek. What's the thought process there? Was it just kind of like instant what you thought? These are the people that I could potentially work with. What's going through your head there?
That is exactly what I thought, Ricky. That is exactly verbatim what I thought. Amanda, I suspected was an attorney by the way she was dressed. I'm the daughter of a criminal defense attorney. I'm married to a criminal defense attorney. My daughter's a family attorney. I know lawyers, they're easy. So lawyers are easy for me. Easy read. I can communicate. So just plug her. Obviously, Cody's a cowboy. I'm from Oklahoma. Cowboys just feel right. You know what I mean? Cowboys are tough. They're smart. They're strong. They put their lives at risk every day. Boom. So Cody the cowboy, Derek the detective, a badge. I work with badges every day. I work with detectives every day. Kaylee a cop. I work with law enforcement every day. I have to. Sometimes we work together. Heck, I have law enforcement that come to me a lot of times when they can't find people because that's what I do. I find people hiding under rocks. That's what I do for a living. And then of course Pastor Jacob, because like I said, I need all the help I can get. So if I could pull any help from above, I was going to take it. And so yes, absolutely. How do you not pick a pastor, right? So
Especially like I mean in this scenario, you really don't know who's who, and I mean you got a guy with the the cloth on there. And you're like I got to have him on my team. You know what I mean? This has got to
exactly,
be good luck, right?
exactly. I mean, it's just kind of a common sense play right there. So absolutely.
I totally agree. All right, talk to me about when you find it's the opposite of what you kind of intended. You find out obviously everybody else kind of played that game. At that point, did you feel like you were kind of in that hot seat to potentially go home later that night?
Oh, absolutely. I felt like I was in the hot seat. I knew I was in the hot seat sitting at that table. Well, when you got eight of them walking up and they all look pissed off, you know what I mean? So it's the middle of the night and they're mad as hell. So yeah, I mean, I read energy for a living and that's what I do. And so the energy, I could tell that I had pretty much ticked off eight cast members and there were eight of them and six of us. And I'm not dumb. So I knew we were all in trouble. And, the scenes that you all don't see us sitting at the table. We're talking about our alliance, building our alliance together, working together. But it makes it really hard when all eight of them are standing at the top and all six of us are standing at the bottom. So that makes it very difficult.
Yeah, I mean, and as the picking is going on, you start to see people's names plucked off one by one by one by one. But at that given time, it's the six of you. Were you shocked initially when Brett said your name in that first episode?
Yes, I was. I was very flattered and shocked. Yes, I was. Brett and I hit it off. It was they're very young, all of them, and I had to find common interest with each one. So Kaylee and I had an immediately, but she was already plucked. So there was nothing I could do with this. She and I had a common right there. She was already gone. And poor Brett, he was just running from Kaylee. God bless him. So I think I was the safe one because I was the older woman that went hitting on him. So he was like, "You're safe." But so we hit it off though. But he's a health nut. I'm a health nut. We made that immediate connection, and we spent a lot of time talking about health, nutrition, and our lifestyles. And it just worked. So I was a little surprised, not 100%, but I think the whole cast was surprised. It kind of just it was already quiet out there. I mean, even the insects were quiet when he picked me. It just went dead silent. The producers, everybody went dead silent. Nobody could believe it. Uh, it was pretty awesome. It was really awesome, actually. I was very flattered, and I wished I would have stayed on there longer so I could have had the opportunity to have saved him. So.
For sure. Obviously, in this week's episode, we're eating stuff, right? Obviously, that's the fun aspect of the show. But one of the most craziest moments I think in like reality TV history happens, obviously, with the whole Jack and Jacob situation, right? That to me was fascinating with him kind of calling him out about possibly spitting in his bucket and all that stuff. What's kind of the atmosphere after that competition, right? Because Jacob kind of really put a target on his back, like by calling Jack out, and Jack obviously having the numbers on his side. What's the atmosphere like around them? Because obviously that's kind of part of your group. You know what I mean? Your early group. You're like, man, we need numbers, and you're kind of ruffling the feathers of the other side per se.
I didn't know what to think. I didn't know because I was still so sick. I was so sick. I didn't know what to think. Honestly, Ricky, what I was thinking was they have to do it again. Oh my God. So I couldn't believe that. And then yes, Jacob did put a target on his back. I, I, I was shocked. I didn't see anybody playing differently, but I wasn't sitting up there or standing up there. I wasn't. I was off to the side. So I thought maybe there was just something from some particular angle maybe I just did not see or something. Uh, I was worried. I was worried through the whole game, though. I mean, I had the target on my back. I knew I had the target on my back. That's what happens when you go first. It seemed like a good idea at the time, but anyway, hindsight's 2020. I would love to get on another reality show. God knows I would do it completely different. Completely different. Yes.
Yeah, because obviously you're standing up there towards the end of this episode and it's you're slowly starting to hear everybody else's name, right? You know what I mean? You're hearing the other people's name. We see that, Derek picked Jacob, obviously, which really threw everything for a loop. Because honestly, at the end of the day, the goal was to get rid of Jacob, and then somehow you became the victim of Derek kind of spinning that in that moment, right?
Yes, I did. And that shocked me. It did. I didn't know what to think, honestly. Looking back, I still don't know what to think. Uh, that whole thing was bizarre. The whole thing was absolutely bizarre. And it was just almost chaos in my head. Chaotic. At the same time, by the way, I'm still sick. I mean, still sick on the sidelines. As they are doing each challenge, I am getting sick from the smell of the challenge. It was unbelievable. How those, how they did that, I don't know, but they did. God bless all of them. So, yes.
Yeah, it was. I got sick watching it. You know what I mean? I couldn't even smell it. I just got sick watching it, and then
Oh,
having to eat those eggs twice really made me sick.
oh,
Um,
you.
just watching it.
God.
All right. So obviously, the million-dollar question before we go here is, who do you think is going to win the snake?
You know, I always have thought Catherine was the most manipulative of all of them. I like all of them to a certain extent. They're all likable people. That's how they got in the show, right? So we're all likable people to a certain extent. She is very manipulative, very calculated, probably one of the most calculated individuals. Let's just say I wouldn't like to have to hunt her in real life, right? So she's one I wouldn't have to like to hunt because I heard different stories come out of her mouth with each contestant. For one contestant, her family were felons. Another contestant, her family was in law enforcement. ATF is, in fact. I mean, it's one or the other. So I never could get a straight answer out of her. So therefore, she's who I pick because she was truly the master at manipulating each person individually. Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of the vibe that I'm getting as well right now. It's kind of funny to hear her talk to one person and have a story, and then the next person have another story. It's been hilarious to see. But Mina, thank you so much for talking to me today. I really, really do appreciate it.
Thank you, Ricky. I enjoyed it. Thank you so much.